Williams podcast. Nange Williams, nkwaniriza webule kunega tako. Mchisera chino, I welcome all of you. Thank you very much for being a part of today's episode. Welcome all of you music lovers, and today we briefly come to give our opinion regarding among the two artists, that is Sheebah Karungi and Sanyu. Who is who? The big question has been on the streets, who is better than who? And normally when people are asking who is better than which artist, they normally depend on how they like the artists they are talking about. If someone likes an artist when it comes to dances, they will definitely believe and stress that they are the best artists. You'll find others when it comes to the vocals, they will say their artist is better than the other because of the vocals their own artist has. So when it comes to Sheebah Karungi and Sanyu, it is a debate quite that has been on most of people's lips. And to make matters worse is that the people asking for who is better when it comes to Sheebah and Cindy are the fans of both sides. Abasinga obungi okukiremerako ennyo bebo abawagizi b'abayimbi bano ku sides ez'enjawulo. Bonasanga baba Sheebaholics bajja kuba bakugamba nti definitely Sheebah yasinga. Bonasanga ba syndicates nabo bajja kugamba nti owaabwe yasinga. Naye amazima gasigala bwe gati nti my opinion is very clear on this one, and I'll give briefs about my opinions, briefs about my remarks, my review, and recommendations. Definitely, both the artists are big when it comes to Ugandan standards. Even when you go beyond Uganda, you cannot rule out the fact that the two have greatly contributed to the development and growth of the music industry of Uganda. I'm talking about Sheebah Karungi and Sanyu. However, they all belong to different generations. So as you're trying to compare the two artists, just know that they belong to different generations. You remember the time Sanyu was active, especially after the Coca-Cola Pop Stars. She joined Steve Jean's Phenon together with the Lion, Jackie Chandiru and Lilian Mbabazi. So she got into active music entrepreneurship and practice. And by the time she did that, I am talking about Sanyu, Sheebah was in the Obsessions a little bit laid back, because Obsessions those days was so much emphasizing on the dances. So they both belong to different generations in that regard. Also, even when you're to consider their solo careers, definitely in 2008 when Cindy chose to call it quits with Blue Theory, when she after she recorded her song that is Mbikoye, again Sheebah was still known a solo artist. So it is unfair to compare the two. Actually unfair for both of them. Tekiba kya bwenkanya eri Sheebah, tekiba kya bwenkanya eri Cindy. Bonna bagwa mu generations za njawulo. Ekibagatta ekikulu ekyawamu ky'ekyokuba nti bonna bakyala. So n'olw'ensonga eyo, one of Williams podcast with me Williams, my opinion is that let us also consider the fact that they belong to different generations. Sheebah in 2014 is when, actually around 13, and when she did self-service with Dax Cartel, then later on did Onsanula, did Ice Cream. Actually Ice Cream came before Onsanula, the song she produced or did at Monster with Nash Wanda. So ojja kwekanga nti Cindy awo nga yakubadda zi hits, yakubadda yocha, yakubadda selector, yakubadda one and only, yakubadda na wewe, yakubadda. So it is quite unfair for we the fans, the Sheebaholics, the syndicates, to jeer, to trigger, to motivate and inspire or insinuate debates of putting these people on the same platform. If you to be realistic enough, fact is that Cindy is an elder in this business when it comes to Sheebah, but that one does not rule out the fact that Sheebah, whenever she came in, has greatly contributed and has done her stuff. Of course, considering the fact that at some point she had help, great help from the TNS team boss, that is Jeff Chiwa. Just like at the start of her career, Cindy Sanyu got much and great muscle from Steve Jean. A little bit of what makes them similar is one started way back in the Blue 3, the other one in Obsessions, but majorly on to dancing. Also, another thing is that the other one came from a talent such as Coca-Cola pop star, but even when she joined Blue 3, majorly the Blue 3 was about music, dance, and drama. Again, Obsessions, at some point they started releasing songs, but not to an extent of Blue 3's practice. So no song eyo debate here, of course zino debates zimanyi okuyamba oba okutambuza industry okubeerawo, abantu okusobola okubeerawo ne bagamba owange yasinga n'oli yansinga, naye kiba kyetaagamu obukugu obw'enjawulo okuviira ddala mu bantu naddala bannamawulire ab'enjawulo n'abantu abalala be bagayita abatunuulizi b'ensonga, okutunuulira ensonga zino mu ngeri ey'enjawulo. Bwe tujja Sheebah ojja mutunuulira nti mu 2020 wali mabegako bwe bakola self service ne Dax Katero ye bwamaliza n'akola ice cream olwakola obulungi. Mujjukira nti abantu bangi nnyo bayogera ebigambo bingi nnyo. There were several corridor talks of she cannot make it because she has been a dancer, just like the same story has been when on Ed Kenzo. So later on, after she had done ice cream, she did on Sanula and Ansana. Let me be specific. Actually, the song Sanula is for Spice Diana, but Onsana is for Sheebah. Let me be specific. But in other words, what I'm trying to give you is that she came a little later, actually a while later, when Cindy had already put her foot on the ground on Sun. I'm trying to Sheebah. I'm trying to look for the right. But again, you know, is it called Ansana? Munarunonye eyo, but simanyi lwaki lunzituseeko because nigezaako kuleeta ate onsanulo lwa Spice Dada. But let us get to the drive of this episode on this podcast, Williams podcast with me, Williams. Bwe yamala n'akuba. Not many female artists have traveled and have grown gradually and organically and later on made it just like Sheebah has done. And remember, in Uganda between 2000 and up to 2011 or 14, people never considered the non-vocalists being artists. People only think that people with vocal ability are the only artists, but definitely art is not limited to only vocals. That's why even at Makerere, where some of us did our courses, it is called music, dance, and drama. So if you're able to tactively, to creatively do your thing, even when you're a dancer that can have a little bit of music in terms of vocals, you're still an artist. So for me, I believe she has worked hard together with her old management, TNS. So Nzindowoza and Sheebah yakola era akoze ekimala. The only challenge is that at some point there came a beef. Should I call it an unnecessary beef? Necessary, because those beefs kind of fuel people's careers, especially if calculated well. So Sheebah najja n'atakukuba endongo nga abantu bagamba si vocalist so tasobola kukola talina kimala, doesn't have enough that it takes it to make it as a big artist. Paka bwazze n'akikola. Of course credit definitely at a certain percentage will go to TNS and in particular Jeff Chiwa and people like Delisa, the Mondays and others. But even when you have a big team that is tactically or strategically put from their feet or action in the right directions, if you're not lucky, if you don't have what it takes to make it as an artist, you cannot make it. So credit definitely also goes to Sheebah Karungi as an artist. So the Sheebaholics, definitely you have a lot of stories from your artists to celebrate. What celebration? Bwe tuzze awo ne tujja Sheebah n'akuba. He's one of the artists that I believe when it comes to female artists of Uganda, she has hits. She has hits. Ice Cream, Onsana, Olimbo lwelabidde. Onsana, that one of Nashwanda, say, baby teremuse, Sheebah teremuse. Kuba kyekiddakaawo kyonna ekiddakaawo simanyi lwaki olimba lubuze ndowooza sitaani alulwanyisa. Then awo ne tugenda nkwataako ne tugenda zonna ezajja ne zijja nga bwe nkutegeeza nti ne Cindy eriri emabega lina yakola hits nnyingi nnyo. Kati noono najja mu kiseera kye n'akola hits and in her own category and in her own way and the kind of music she does. Definitely when you listen to their tempo, you might think that they belong to or produce or create the same repertoire, but definitely the fact is that they don't belong together when it comes to what genres they produce. However much sometimes you'll listen to their music and the tempos oba emisindo ennyimba kwe ziddukira ng'owulira batambulira wamu, but they differently belong to genres. Ojja kulaba Cindy is a dynamic and versatile, flexible vocalist who will at some point give you a nawewe, will give you a dance hall in Ayocha, in One and Only, will give you Dilemma, Mr. G and Bobby Wine, will give you her dancehall music is not rough, it's not that hard. She has the ability to do rhythm and blues, fuse it with different rugged beats and make her own culture of music. So credits, a lot of credits go to her when it comes to that, because we have had the likes of Bella and others who have straight to the Patra's line of Patra romantic call, that Jamaican. But for her, she's flexible enough that at some point she sounds like a rhythm and blues artist or R&B artist. She's able to do Afropop. She's able to do different genres, but majorly known as a raga dance artist. Of course, another credit that you'll give Cindy is that she's a music writer, composer, and a music arranger. Definitely, that is another plus or other merits that you'll add to her profile or legacy. But again, we have seen several artists across the globe or around the world who are not songwriters. However much being a songwriter will add lines or bullets to your success story, to your legacy, but definitely we have seen several other artists across the globe who are not songwriters and they have made it. It is not a crime known as someone not be able to write their own music, but it is a plus. It is an advantage if you're able to write your own music. I saw a story by a songwriter who wrote this current song that is See You Tonight, the one she did with Omega 256. That the guy tried as much as possible to at least write some music for his fan, for his artist, because this songwriter says he's a fan of Cindy. But all the times he had tried to reach out to Cindy for or offering songs he has written for her, she was like, nze tebampandikira. In other words, nga yekkiririzaamu. Kati ezo ze ziba plus, naye tulina okukkiriza fact nti oyinza okuba tosobola kwewandiikira, but you're a successful artist. And success is relative, definitely is categorically, it depends on what you consider when you're comparing the two. That's why I'm trying to dig here and there. Also, getting back to Sheebah, you'll realize that several artists came the time she came, the same time she came. But not all of them, even when they had managements, have been able to make it. Even when some of them have made it, but have made it to a certain level, not reaching a level where Sheebah Karungi is at. Also, another trick and tactic, the creativity also, if you want to put it that way, I appreciate about Sheebah and the entire team she has worked with all the way, is the fact and is the ability they have always had to make this person people believe and always sing about, that she's not a vocalist, but to make sure that she produces good music and songs that people can sing along to, that people can dance to, the songs that have drawn several people, or you inclusive who is watching me, to the dance floor. I like several songs of Sheebah Karungi. Yes, people would say she's not a vocalist, but normally, if you're able to use your own voice, whichever way it is, without flatting too much, getting sharp too much, nga tova nnyo ku beat, to flatting nnyo, tobeera nnyo sharp. Yes, tulabye artists bangi nnyo nga basurvivingirwa pitch correctors or auto-tuning abamu bwe bakiyita. Nga ku basurviving, but art is that. Ekyo kitegeeza art is art, definitely. Kubanga oyinza okuba nga oyina a successful a good voice, oyinza okuba nga oyina good dance moves, naye era n'otakimaking. What matters, of course, is what have you been able to register as an artist when it comes to stories, when it comes to legacy. So nzikiriza nti abantu bano, they have both successfully achieved along the way. However, let us emphasize the fact that they belong to different generations. They belong to different categories of genres. Definitely, they belong to different worlds when it comes to vocals. They belong to different worlds when it comes to live performances. You'll find that Sheebah cannot vocally execute performance to a level of what Cindy can offer. But again, the fans of Sheebah Karungi are always satisfied whenever she performs. Ekyo nakyo kikulu. Nti ayinza okuba tatuuka oli, naye ate ono buli bwa performing bw'oti ate abawagizi be basigala ba appreciating what she's able to offer. They are not like you would say Whitney Houston, the late, and Celine Dion. Those ones at least you would compare. You could compare vocally, but these ones are differently created when it comes to their voice boxes. Another debate was about Brenda Fassie and Chaka Chaka. Definitely they had different color voices, different ranges and stuff like that. It happens to both Sheebah and Cindy when it comes to color voice, when it comes to ranges, when it comes to attacks, approaches, delivery, when it comes to rhythm patterns and melodies. Definitely they belong to different worlds. So abawagizi ba Cindy, abawagizi ba Sheebah, mbakakasa nti ba artists bamwe monna bali successful when it comes to what they have achieved in terms of property. Definitely that depends on their receipt books, their invoice books, because definitely at some point you will realize that we have had years, especially from 2017, where Sheebah has been among a few female artists that have had ability to generate much revenues. So at that point, ekyo kyetaaga kuddayo mu bitabo tubiteekawo tugambe ku Cindy n'ono ani asinza okukola sente nyingi, ku Cindy ne Sheebah ani asinza okuleeta awards ennyingi nnyo, zizitowa kyenkana ki awards ezo. So n'olw'ensonga eyo ekindeese mu episode eno ku Williams podcast kwe kuba nti tetuconcentrating so much oba ekintu tetukifuula broad, ani asinga ono yasinga ono nasinga nga tetugenza into those details. At large, nze mbebaza ng'abantu mujjukira bato yaabwe yeyogeza abantu ebinene. Ekisooka, bato yakola etya? Bato yawa omukisa, it gave an opportunity to female artists to through building their capacity and muscles. they at some point reached or were near a table of male artists who had dominated those battles. Whenever we talked about battles, it was supposed to be for male artists. And definitely kati tufunangayo maanyi ago ga mukyala versus omukyala, ekyo kino kitukolera ekirala kyayamba okwerevatinga Sheebah Karungi abantu gwe bali bagezako okuintimidating, okufrustrating that could not match up Cindy. However much they never matched in terms of performance and vocals, but again Sheebah, in my opinion, achieved much just like Cindy did in her own way. Definitely money, they made money. Away from that, definitely they went into their own way. The other one says Sheebah did her concert and Cindy went her own way. Sheebah got pregnant, performed with when she was pregnant, she went into a recess to give birth. The industry went down. When the industry went down, people started campaigns of when will she come back? When will the queen be back? And definitely when she came back, the music got new energy, new fever, new elevation, the springs, the sepulingine zitandika okupampinga bweziti. Eventually she dropped Somebody. Bagambe nti nze ndi wa somebody. Before we knew it, she organized a press conference. Ate yagenda okukomawo ngo hipu ze zikyuseemu akabiina ke akonako nebeera debate. Mu bufunze public opinion n'agisika. Made headlines in the news, especially when it comes to creative and performing arts, entertainment, music as an art and show business. So she put the females mu mawulire. Tuba tuli awo nga Cindy ne Omage batadde oluyimba. Today we have two big female songs. We have Somebody by Sheebah Karungi and See You Tonight by Cindy Sanyu. Definitely the game is sweet or sweeter than red wine or honey. Lwaki nti ebyo bitambuza industry. However mwabawagizi mulina okuwagira nga mulina wemukoma ne mutatuuka kuwakanaza wattuye n'okwekuba ebikonde. Bwe mukiwakana mu ngeri ya mpola mpola bwekito, so be it. So this is William's podcast and today we give that opinion. If you have any other opinion, you can just drop it in the comment section. It is William's podcast with me, Williams. Goodbye. Of course, probably we'll have to come with another episode regarding the same two artists who has the best awards, who has achieved what when it comes to music hits, who has enjoyed public celebration, who is more celebrated than the others, who is more who has enjoyed the airwaves, whose music has played much, who has sold how many songs online, who has had how many events, who has had how many success music concerts, who has had their own stage music concerts, who has earned what in terms of marriage, who has had what in terms of property. So the thing is just complex, but for now we give you only this piece on this episode on Williams podcast with me, Williams. Goodbye. We come with more when we come back.